Hello, I'm Rojiru, and welcome to the first video of my coverage for Europa Universalis IV, Art of War. There are just too many changes for me to cover all in one video, so we'll be breaking this up into several parts, with different focuses for the next couple of weeks. To start with, I'll just be giving brief overviews of some of the bigger changes in this DLC, continuing on with more in-depth tutorial coverage of how to best use these changes in future episodes. In this episode, Episode 1, I'll be talking about League Wars and the Protestant Reformation and how this affects the Holy Roman Empire, client states and changes to revolutionary France and other revolutionary countries, and finally touching slightly on the army builder and a few new ways to handle diplomacy in war. Let's move on. Let's take a moment to talk about revolutionary France and client states. Now, 1812 is a pretty good start date to show off these mechanics because we have access not only to an at-peace revolutionary France. Well, you don't start at peace. I had to give up some stuff for this video, but you're at peace, which means you can create client states. The other necessary requirement is that you have diplomacy technology level 22. And at 1812, I think you have level 30. Yeah, about year 1690, you can get access to Diplotech 22 as a Western European power. So you can have these client states a little bit earlier. But to show them off, if you click on any province that you own, the button right here next to adding provinces to the HRE is Assign Province to Client State. Clicking on this button will allow you to, as I said, create your new client state. You can name it whatever you want, just like if a new colonial nation has popped up. Make it a republic or monarchy. If it's a monarchy, you can assign its ruler to your dynasty. So New Brittany will be of the Bonaparte dynasty. Or you can have a local dynasty so you don't have any messiness with personal unions. But yeah, New Brittany will be ruled by a Bonaparte. You can change its color, the color of its flag, and the color of the province in political map mode. Let's give it something reminiscent of its old color. Kind of a beigey, yeah, like an off blue here. You can change its flag and the color of its flag. There, that looks pretty good. Now, clicking on any adjacent province will allow you to either create a new client state or add a new province to New Brittany. Let's just give them all of their old cores back. And there you go. A very new client state from a very old province, a very old country, New Brittany. This can be particularly useful if you want to avoid border disputes or border friction opinion malices. Let's say I've created Gascony here, which set up a little buffer zone between Spain and revolutionary France. Also, I've created New Savoy, or post-France Savoy, as a buffer zone between Italy and revolutionary France. Not that all of this mess down here helps. A little bit of border gore. Now, let's talk about revolutionary France a little bit. Revolutionary targets are new in Art of War, and what that means is you get some bonuses for being a revolution target. You get more score, that just adds to your total score overall. And all of these nice bonuses, morale of armies, national manpower modifier, and land force limits modifier. These things are huge. But this also means everybody wants to destroy your revolution. Every other country gets a casus belli against you to end your revolution, which will return you to a monarchy, if they enforce that demand. It's going to be a little hard for them to do that if you have all these bonuses, but that's beside the point. And as a revolution leader, you have a special casus belli against everybody else to make them join your glorious revolution. You get all of these abilities. You have the ability to enforce all of these demands, rather, such as making them a vassal of your glorious revolution. And you get this against everybody. You also rack up a lot of aggressive expansion for doing it, but you do get this casus belli against everybody, and you can make them join the glorious. Well, you can even have a revolution pop up in any country, really, but then those countries will also get these revolution target casus bellis against them. So It's pretty fun. New client states, new revolution mechanics, and lots of Bonaparting across Europe. I'm sorry, that was terrible. On to the next section. Let's take a moment to talk about religious leagues in the 30 Years' War start date. Now, the religious leagues can start popping up anytime after the Protestant Reformation starts ravaging Europe. And anyone can join either side. For example, France, a staunch Catholic nation, can join the Protestant League in order to take power away from the Emperor, the very Catholic Emperor of Austria. Now, I have chosen Denmark for this explanation because Denmark starts in the 30 Years' War start date as the leader of the Protestant League, and only the leader of a league can declare war on the Emperor to enforce their religious superiority. Now, if your side wins, and these leagues can get gigantic, calling in everyone from Europe, so it's going to be a big war. If you manage to enforce this war goal, then Protestantism will become the new dominant faith of the Holy Roman Empire, meaning that only Protestants can become electors or the emperor. And if you're a Protestant emperor, you get bonuses to religious conversion, imperial authority, etc., etc. Conversely, if you lose the war, fantastically, and Austria enforces their religious superiority war goal, either side can enforce this war goal, then Catholicism will become the dominant religion of the empire, and only Catholics can become the emperor or electors. However, if neither side during this war enforces their war goal of religious superiority, say it's a white peace, everybody's tired of fighting, then religious equality begins in the empire. So that means Protestants or Catholics can hold electorships and emperorships. So all equality throughout the empire if everybody's tired of fighting over this league war stuff. Conversely to war, that is, if you as the emperor don't have your religious authority challenged for a set period of time, then your faith automatically becomes the dominant faith of the empire. That's about it. That's pretty much the League War mechanics. If you want to enforce your religious superiority, join in League Wars today. Let's continue on with revolutionary France for this last part of the video. Now, since this is the last part of this video, I'm going to be cramming a few things in here. Let's start with wars. There's new options for piecing out of wars and generally conducting your war in Art of War. That's a little bit too many wars for that sentence, but we'll figure it out. To start with, you can designate any province by clicking on this button here in the military section of a province overview and assign a focus to any of your allies. So say I'd like Poland to come and siege down Munster. If they have any particular preference for sieging down Munster, they'll come and siege it down for you. You can do that for any province in the war that you've not already occupied. If you have occupied a province, say here for instance Bremen, under the Diplomacy button, once again in the Province Overview panel, you can click on your shield, Revolutionary France, and transfer the occupation to anybody else in the war. So say you want to grow a vassal, in this instance Danzig. I can transfer the occupation of Bremen, or once again any occupied province, to anybody you're allied in the war with. However, once you've occupied it, you can't change the occupation. That's up to your vassal or whoever you've transferred the occupation to. And in the peace deal, you can just go ahead and give that province to whoever you've assigned the occupation to. Bremen will become part of Danzig. I'd also like to touch on the Army Builder. The Army Builder is one of the best additions to Art of War, in my opinion. You can create a new template in your production tab here, and assign a new template. In this revolutionary army, we have 30 infantry, 10 cavalry, and 20 artillery. And this template can draw upon, let's say, 60 provinces. Now, this will tell you a few things. It'll tell you how much it costs, how much it'll cost in maintenance, how much manpower, and how long it'll take to build it. Now, once you've clicked on your army template, if you can build it successfully, these provinces will show up as green, meaning that they have enough money to build the unit, enough manpower to build the unit, and enough provinces to build it all at once. That's the most important part. If you have enough provinces to build it all at once, and everything else falls into place, then these provinces will be green. Let's create a new template just to fix that a little bit. Army 2. Let's say it'll draw from 10 provinces and only create 10 infantry. All of these are being used up. Army 2. See, green. Now I can queue it up here in Anjou. Now, once all of the regiments have finished building, they will group up in Anjou and consolidate into a single army. This is useful for world conquest, of course, and just reducing the amount of clicks you have to do to get an army up and running. There's also a few other things I'd like to cram in here at the end. Selling ships. If you want to talk to somebody who has a lot of money and you don't have, and you have a lot of boats that you don't want, you can just sell them ships in the economy section of the diplomacy window. Say I want to sell them my light ships. If they have money for it, and they generally want it, in this instance, they really, really hate us. They're outraged, minus 130. They just won't buy my boats. But say I talk to one of my vassals, they would go ahead and buy my boats, because they love me. But, however, they want fewer light ships. They don't have the force limit to accommodate all of these ships I want to sell them. But, like I said, if you don't want your boats, you can just sell them off and get a little bit of money back that way. Marches are the very last thing that I'd want to get into for this video. If you have a vassal that is of adequate size, less than 40 base tax, you can assign them to a, well, not if we're at war. You can assign them to a march status, and that is under the influence tab in diplomacy, right next to offer vassal, Is it? Is it really? No, that's not my vassal anymore. It is under influence. You can designate them as a march. Marches get more defense in their forts, they get a higher force limit, more manpower recovery speed. The offside to this is that you cannot annex a march, and they will not pay you any tax. But if you have a march on a distant province, say you're playing in Sweden, you can create the vassal of Finland to create this buffer zone of high defensiveness and army strength between you and Russia. They have some uses, but just make sure they don't get above 40 base tax, because once that happens, they lose their status as a march, which means they don't get any of those bonuses, you can't annex them, and they're not paying you tax. So what you'll have to do then is to remove their march status. Revoke march. This costs you 1 stability and like negative 100 relationship with them. So it's going to take a while to build up that trust again in order for you to annex them into your country. And I think that's about it for this video. There are a lot of new additions to Art of War. I did not get to all of them in this video, but this is just part 1 of my Art of War overview. And if you like the video, please hit like, subscribe if you want to see when my next videos come out. Thank you for watching, and good luck.